One.
Hey guys, welcome to
Hey
the
guys,
latest
welcome
episode
to the latest
of
episode
our
of our
podcast.
podcast.
We got a special guest in
We got a
today, and
special
unlike
guest in
Mustafa,
today,
he's
and
actually a
unlike
celebrity
Mustafa,
guest.
he's actually a celebrity guest.
So I'll just let him give a brief introduction about himself.
Hey everyone, my name is Kiiyyon, and I have a YouTube page called Kiiyon, and basically what I do is I have a library of content that shows everything MMA related in the past. So if you want to get your knowledge on MMA up to a better level than what it is now, I say visit my channel Kiiyon, and then you could just watch a bunch of videos, binge watch them if you want, you know.
Yeah, you have a new playlist up as well, right? I saw your Insta story.
Yeah. Well, like that's the thing, man. Like, when I started the channel, I wanted to create. I love channels that are binge worthy. You know, you stay on the channel and you're just like watching all of their videos. I think that's genius. So I wanted to create something like that, but for MMA, because no one's really doing it, right?
Yeah, because everyone just talks about the fight itself. Even if you look at Joe Rogan's MMA shows, or it's not cage fighting or something, they do just specific to certain fights, but they don't specify the fighter themselves. I think your channel's niche talks specifically about the fighter.
Well, you know, I believe that telling the story of the UFC or MMA in general, telling it through the fighters is the best way to do it, man. You know?
Yeah, because games can change, but depending on the fighter, you can definitely analyze what the outcome's going to be a lot better.
Exactly, man. That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, it's not a team-based sport, so.
Yeah, you know what? It is, but it isn't. You know, it's crazy the amount of pressure fighters go through on like fight night. You know what I mean? I actually started training in Muay Thai like last year, and it gave me such an appreciation towards fighting because just training is really difficult. Like, it's tiring as hell. But like, I can only imagine getting into a fight where you're really nervous, and then you have to think about what you're gonna do. It's just like really. After doing Muay Thai for a year, basically, I've really learned how to appreciate these fighters.
Yeah, and what most people need to understand is everyone's like, oh, it's just moving your arms and punching motions. What most people don't understand is that gloves weigh as much as a pint of beer. So it's like holding a pint of beer and then moving.
I challenge anyone to just get some gloves and just throw at a bag as fast as they can for 60 seconds. Like, that tells you as much as you need to know about MMA, in my opinion, or just fighting in general. It's just like, it's tiring, you know. Like, this isn't basketball. You don't get to sit down on a bench. You know what I mean? Oh, yo, speaking of basketball, Raptors. I know that's like that's a big like side topic, but you're from Toronto too, so like, shout out to the Raptors. I love the Raptors, man. You know.
Yeah, huge basketball fan. I remember I went to the rec room for the final game. And we had like people standing everywhere, like talking, ready. TDC.
I stayed the hell away from Toronto during that entire time. I'm like, you know what? I could watch this from home, man. I'm not gonna put myself in that crowd and get stuck there for like forever, right? So like, I preferred it to watch it at home. But like, in general, I like to just be by myself. I think I'm just like a homebody, so like, I don't think I would have been comfortable in going to parade or like any of that stuff. But it was cool, you know. I'm happy that it happened at least once in our lifetimes. I actually thought I was gonna die without seeing the Raptors win the championship. I don't know about you.
Well, yeah, considering how everything Drake touches goes to shit.
Yeah.
I was half expecting us
to like not do anything.
For sure, I understand that, man. Definitely.
Yeah, so I actually just wanted to say that you're one of the best people to talk about like the fighter individually before a fight. So one of the most stacked cards is coming up with UFC 249.
You know what's funny, bro? Like, I wasn't even I forgot about this card like until you told me that we're gonna talk about it. So this morning I actually looked at it quickly. Yo, this is a stacked card, man. Holy, this is crazy.
And I've been watching like the previous
fights.
And the way Tony and Justin were manhandling
Barboza.
Oh my god, man! Like Barboza, he's such like that's like a fighter that if you beat, I think you're a top contender. And if you beat him like decisively and like, or if you go to war with him and then you beat him like that, that's impressive.
Yeah, because Barboza, he's an extremely strong fighter, especially his kicks. But the reason why he has so many losses is he's against the top guys.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure, man. Like he's what's a good comparison? Like he's basically a journeyman in lightweight, but he's like an elite journeyman. You know what I mean? Like. Same with Rafael dos Anjos. Even Dana White is like, if you could beat Rafael dos Anjos, you deserve a title. Like that's Edson Barboza, in my opinion, too. If you could beat Edson Barboza, you deserve a title.
Yeah, like, and that's one of the reasons why I think this is such a solid fight, because Khabib is a god. But he wasn't able to manhandle Barboza like Justin and Tony did.
Crazy, right? So what do you think? How does that play into? How does that performance play into Tony Khabib then?
So I personally think that Tony has great ground defense, but nowhere near the strength that Khabib would have on the ground.
You know what? I think that's a good way to start this card for predictions. What you thought? Who you think is going to win for Khabib and Tony, even though it's not happening anymore. So your pick is Khabib?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's Khabib because everyone's like, oh, Khabib doesn't have the stand-up striking game. But everyone forgets that this guy's defense while he's standing up is insane. Because everyone knows about that Barboza roundhouse kick, right? That roundhouse kick that would have killed most people and like made their souls leave the body, made Barboza move backwards when he kicked Khabib.
Yeah, exactly, man. Yo, for sure. Well, like for me, I would definitely probably pick Khabib too, man. Like I think for me, my heart says Tony, my brain says Khabib, you know. But a big part of that factor of Khabib winning that fight is that Tony's getting older, you know.
Yeah, and considering the fact of the discipline that Khabib has. And just due to the sheer respect, it's really hard to like underestimate Khabib in my opinion.
Oh, for sure, man. Like he has the best ground game in the history of MMA, in my opinion, and no one has been able to really neutralize it, you know. And I think that's the thing in MMA in general. If you want to be a champion, the best chance is to be a wrestler. And he's the king of that. So I don't see anyone beating him anytime soon. And this is coming from who for years was not a big Khabib fan, you know? Like, I did not like Khabib prior to winning the belt because I thought he pulled out of fights way too much. I'm like, man, like, I don't like this guy. Like, I don't want this guy to be a champion. But honestly, he really made me eat my words because, like, his title run has been impressive. Like you can't deny that.
Yeah, like one thing that I really like about Khabib though is the pure brute strength that he has, especially with like the Conor McGregor fight. It's really rare that you see someone actually get a full-fledged fulcrum choke on a person. You see a rear naked, you see all that, but like a fulcrum choke is easy to defend. But the fact that he was able to get one on Conor and fully execute it till submission, he has my respect after that.
My favorite submissions of all time is GSP's on Michael Bisping. Like I think it was like cleanest rear naked choke I've ever seen. It was so beautiful. I love it.
Bisping took it like a man though. Didn't tap.
He didn't tap. I don't know, man. Where were you when you watched that fight? Did you watch that live?
Yeah, I was at school in my school library studying for tests.
And then you were watching that too.
I'm like, jab.
What a night, man! That was a crazy night. Oh.
And then I still remember GSP's like bloody face, and he does a backflip after it.
Yeah, sick, man.
I'm like,
yeah.
Yo, who else? So okay, where do you want to start on this card?
So I actually just wanted to get your opinion on the title, Ferguson versus JT.
Ferguson versus JT.
Yeah, I can't pronounce this guy's last name, but I just call him Justin.
I just call him Justin.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just want to get your opinion.
I just want to get your opinion on that.
My opinion on Tony and Gaethje, I think it's such a 50-50 fight, man. Honestly, but I'm gonna go with Tony Ferguson.
Yeah, I saw the Fettis fight, and it was this guy basically tired him out. Whereas Justin's main objective is to finish it as quickly as possible. So I think at the end of the day, it's going to be a strategy-based, mental strategy. Win.
It is like, you know what? This is such a tough fight for Tony. I don't know why he's taking it. Like, I should just wait for Khabib, man, at this point. But I think he's gonna win it, man. Like, he's just he's really good. Like, he's the best fighter that's not Khabib. You know what I mean? So it's the only thing that really factors in at this point is his age. You know, he's 37 going into that fight. So who knows what he's like? He's getting more injuries nowadays. So it's just, there's all these factors where it's like it's coming to an end for Tony Ferguson, but when is that end going to happen? You know what I mean?
Yeah, but for me, like, I just really wish that it doesn't turn out to a Adesanya versus
Romero fight.
Oh, no, you know what? I don't think those guys are capable of doing that, man. I don't. Like, Adesanya and Romero, maybe they had the track, they could be able to do something like that, but like Gaethje, I've never seen him in a boring fight, man. I've never seen even Tony in a boring fight either.
Yeah, but the way I see it is like you got like two hot heads, but one's like an older guru, and then you got like a younger hot shot. Which is common with like the older fight, but I just don't want it to go the same way where they both don't hit each other. And even the ref is like, dude, take shots.
Yo, that would be brutal, man. Like, imagine if that happened. Oh, that would be such a disappointment. You know what? I actually think it would be an even more disappointment if that happened with Tony and Khabib. If Tony and Khabib fought and they just stood in front of each other for 5 rounds, oh my god. Like, that's the worst to this entire saga of waiting for this fight, you know?
Yeah, I don't think Dana's gonna be too happy with that as well.
But yeah, no, that's my pick for that fight. I think Tony Ferguson. Honestly, I say decision, man. I don't think he could finish Gaethje because yeah, that's just way too hard. I think it's gonna go decision, and yeah, he's your interim champion once again. And then who's in the co-main event?
The co-main, it's actually
Cejudo and Cruz, right?
Yeah, Cruz.
Yeah,
and Cejudo.
That's a good fight too, man. Oh shoot. I think man, you know what? I love Dominic Cruz, you know, but I think it's gonna be Henry Cejudo, man.
Yeah, like looking at their stats as well. My man Kiiyyon is pretty mobile.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and besides, like, for a bantamweight fight, the smaller you are, the better, in my opinion.
Yeah, man.
So this guy can definitely fly, considering his smaller size.
And the thing too is that Dominic Cruz, he's been out for 4 years. It's been, or 3 years.
I think it was closer to 3.
So, yo, man, if he comes back from this and wins the championship again, you have to put him top 3 greatest of all time.
Yeah, but the only issue I have with this fight is that Cruz is a lot better at takedowns.
Yep.
So I just wish that it's a ground-based fight as well.
Well, you think Cruz is a better wrestler?
Yeah. Well, he does have a higher rate, right?
Oh, like in MMA. Yeah, but Henry's a Olympic gold medalist, man. You can't forget the Triple C.
Yeah, considering that he's an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling, but I haven't seen that much in his MMA career.
You know what's funny? I remember I did when I started this channel. I did an interview with someone, and we were doing predictions on a UFC card, and it was the UFC card with Henry Cejudo versus Demetrius Johnson too, the second fight, right?
Yeah.
And he picked Demetrius Johnson to win the fight, and then I picked Henry Cejudo, and he was like, "Man, are you crazy? Like, how could you pick Henry Cejudo?" And he ended up winning that fight. Oh, it was such a great feeling. It's like I couldn't believe he beat Demetrius Johnson, but it was a close fight too. And he also beat TJ Dillashaw on EPO, so that's pretty impressive as well. So that's why I don't know, man. Like he's on a pretty good run. This is a big fight for him to lose because Cruz is not. He's not in his peak shape. He's not even in his prime anymore, in my opinion. But if Cruz comes back and beats him, that's like a big loss for Henry Cejudo, man.
Yeah, most definitely. Yeah, and there's also a few more cards. I think they got the heavyweight as well, which I think is a pretty interesting fight. Because it's pretty even. It's against Francis Ngannou and Jarzov.
Yeah, man, that's a big fight. I was actually thinking about this before I popped onto this call. I was thinking Rosenstrike might win this, and that would be crazy to see if he knocks out Ngannou, man. Oh my god! And you know what, man? You know what's the crazy thing? So I compared their knockouts to Alistair Overeem. Okay, you remember those?
Yeah.
So Ngannou's, that was crazy. That uppercut that totally took his head off. But man, Rosenstruck's was even crazier, man. He ripped his lip. You know how much force you need to rip someone's lip?
Yeah,
that's
considering how thick it is down here, it's
that's thick meat, and that doesn't just rip. So for a man to throw a fist and for that to rip is that's scary, man. So I don't know, he was struggling in that Overeem fight before that happened, but I think it's a good matchup for him against Ngannou. So, man, I might have to go with Rosenstruck, man. Probably a first round knockout, second round knockout, something like that, man.
Yeah, same thing. I'd have to say the same thing because Francis is a bigger guy. He moves a lot slower in his last fight. Don't get me wrong, he's jacked, but Rosenstruck definitely has the advantage in terms of being mobile.
Yeah, and
his strike rate's insane too.
Wait, what'd you say?
His ability to strike is insane, almost as double as Francis.
Yeah, for sure. Yo, man, he's impressed me. So that's why this is a big fight because I love Francis Ngannou too. But Rosenstruck, he's serious, man. So we'll see what happens with that one. That could easily turn into a shitty fight. That one, but I hope not. I hope it's good.
Yeah, I was actually watching another fight with Alistair Overeem and Olnick, and I'm thinking this fight is going to go somewhere around that level.
Olnick is gonna fight Fabricio Verdum on this card.
Yeah, I know. It's gonna be a pretty fun fight to see that too. But like the heavyweight belt, Francis versus Rosenstruck is gonna be pretty much the Overeem fight.
You you think it's gonna be like the Overeem Oleinik fight again?
Yeah, essentially.
We'll see, man. We'll see.
Yeah, I'm surprised that my man Francis made the weight cut. Though.
Weight cut, yeah. Why? Why? How much did you weigh before?
I think he was like 265 and he hit 250. On the
That's
dot.
Pretty good, actually. He's a lean heavyweight, man. He's not like a fat one at all.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I was shocked at how he made the cut.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. Who's after that fight?
After that, it's Stephens versus Catter.
Oh, wait, Stephens versus who? What's his name?
Jeremy Stephens versus Kelvin Catter.
Yeah. That's a good fight too, actually, man. I think Cater is gonna win it. Kelvin Cater is gonna win that fight.
Yeah, definitely the stronger guy. His strike rates, significant strikes are pretty much the same, but like strike rate is double.
Yeah. He's Jeremy Stephens. He's tough, and he could win this fight maybe. But I think it's Cater's time now. Kelvin Cater's right now. And then there's also what's his name? Greg Hardy, right?
Yeah,
it's crazy how Greg Hardy is on the pay-per-view.
versus Yogan De Castro.
Yeah, like how is he on the paper and like on the preliminaries? You have like much better fights than Greg Hardy fight, in my opinion.
Yeah. Definitely, but like the thing with Greg Hardy is like this guy is huge. So I think he just has this intimidation factor that most guys don't really do well against.
I guess so. Yeah, that's true.
Because
Greg Hardy's gonna win that fight. They really just set him up to win fights basically at this time, but. You know, what it is what it is.
Yeah. At 6'5", this guy weighs 265 pounds, so he's pretty jacked.
He's 6'9"?
You're 6'5".
6'5". Greg Hardy.
Yeah. And compared to De Castro, he's like 4 inches taller, 15 pounds more. 6 inches reach advantage, and it's like... I'd be super scared to fight someone with that many more advantages than me.
For sure, man. It's funny when you see people like what's his name, Stefan Struve. You know, like he wasn't able to become like a champion or like a world class fighter. Yeah, man. Like you compare that to like John Jones. You know what I mean? Like they're both long guys, but John Jones had the skill to utilize his length.
Yeah. But I think John Jones, the thing with him being able to use it is because he's a lot more mobile.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
He's really fast. Especially, like, you see it in his fight with Gustafsson.
Yeah, oh, for sure, man. He destroyed Gustafsson in the second one, right?
Yeah. In the second one, you see him being a lot more mobile. I just don't think Hardy, even though he's at the same height and physique, he doesn't have that mobility that Jones has.
Oh, definitely not, man.
Yeah, and that's actually one of the reasons why I find it hard to defend.
Yeah, man. Yo, who's on? Who's headlining the preliminary again?
For preliminary, it's Pettis versus Sirion.
Wait, who was
Cowboy. Cowboy versus Anthony.
Pettis. Okay.
Yeah.
You know what? That's actually a tough fight too.
Yeah, like I haven't seen these guys in too much of a skilled based fight.
Uh-huh.
Both badasses, both strikers, but I haven't seen too much skill before.
I think it's gonna be Pettis, man. Did you see that interview with Cowboy recently?
I did. Like
Yeah,
briefs.
like
briefs.
when I see that from fighters, I think it's time to hang it up, man. Like you can't be fighting with mentality like that where it's like, oh, it wasn't me in there, like I wasn't 100% me. Like, this is a sport where if you're not 100% you, there's a chance you're gonna lose. You know what I mean? Like that's what it is. Like it's not like you could rely on your teammates to carry you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like the thing is, if you have a little bit of fear in you, it's healthy. But like if you don't have the confidence, it's a lot more harmful. Like you get one wrong blow to the head, it has a psychological effect.
For sure, definitely, man. Like, yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, like the biggest thing I've seen is with Pettis. When he was fighting Ferguson, when he was taking a rain of punches, his psychological and confidence, I definitely saw it to like actually come out of it. Where I don't think Cowboy has that mental confidence.
What did you think about that Conor performance against Cowboy? Are you like one of the people who say it was really impressive, or the people who say Cowboy didn't show up? It wasn't that impressive.
I say it's not that impressive on Cowboy's part because, like I said, he didn't show that confidence then as well.
Mm-hmm. You know what? I think I agree, man. Yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of people who say like, oh, that was such a world class performance against Conor, but it like man, like you're fighting a unmotivated Cowboy. That's the reality of it. You know what I mean? Like it's set up for you to win.
Yeah, and I think it's part of Conor's game as well.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah, his WWE style trash talking.
Yeah.
I think it's like similar to the Aldo fight. Because you got to consider Aldo's an amazing fighter. But like the fact that like Conor was talking about buying a chimpanzee, dressing it up as Aldo, and like, trying to walk it into the crowd.
He said that.
Yeah, there is a point when he's like, I want to dress up a chimpanzee like Aldo. I think it
That's
just like demoralized Aldo into the point where like he just walked into the punch. And I think Cowboy had the same mentality.
You know what? It's definitely a factor in Conor McGregor fights, the mental aspect. That's why when you see people like Khabib, man, it's like, oh shit, he was able to overcome that. You know what I mean? Like fighting on a stage like that when you fight Conor McGregor is a whole different story compared to if you fight a regular card, obviously, right? Yeah. So that's when I see people like Nate Diaz too. When you beat Conor, when everyone's against you, you have an entire crowd of Irish fans or like just Conor supporters who don't want you to win, and then you win. I think that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, like if you look at who beat Conor, it's basically people who haven't gotten phased by his trash talking.
Basically, yeah. So if you could get past that, like at ease, then you're good. Basically, I agree with you. That's why kind of like Chad Mendes, he did pretty good in the beginning because he didn't have to sit through an entire build up of trash talk. He kind of just showed up, and then it was like, okay, I'm just gonna fight. But then the downfall was his cardio, right?
Yeah.
That's you know what? I want to do a video on Chad Mendes. I like Chad Mendes.
Yeah, no, Chad Mendes, he's a typical Chad. You can tell, but like it's. He's pretty confident in what he can do. I really like him.
Yeah, for sure, man. Definitely. Is there any like recommendations you want to see on my channel? Like any videos?
I actually wanted to see a few more of the heavyweight guys.
Like who?
I know that you did a few on like GSP, but like there's a few heavyweight champions in boxing and other fields that people don't really talk about. They're probably like dwelling into that side as well.
Oh, so like boxers, eh?
Yeah. Because I know like heavyweight in boxing changed a lot in its history.
Yeah, it did, eh?
Yeah, Muhammad Ali.
You know what? Like,
heavyweight of all time.
I don't think I can make a video on boxing because like I I have like no knowledge on it whatsoever. You know, like I have knowledge, like I've watched boxing fights and all of that, but like I'm not submerged into it like MMA. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think like in general, MMA and UFC specifically, they really know how to build a culture of fight fans. You know what I mean? That really submerges you into always wanting to come back and see what's up in the sport. In comparison to boxing, where it's like, okay, the only time you're really gonna be paying attention to boxing is when the events come on. You know what I mean? The UFC doesn't do that. They have embeddeds. They have like all these other things where it's like, yo, we're still here. You know, like we're still we're around even though we're not putting on an event. So I think that's why I always liked MMA and just UFC in general so much more, because it just it really gets you involved. So I think that's a big reason why I can't I don't think I can make a boxing video, but it depends. It depends on like who the boxer is. If it's a boxer I really like, then like maybe I could. But like if it's just a random boxer, no, I don't think I could, you know, because that's the thing too with my channel. Like the videos I put out are like most of these fighters I do the videos on are in the moment. I really want to know about their careers in depth. You know what I mean? So I would say when I do the videos for MMA more, I really enjoy it. You know, like I genuinely enjoy it, and it's yeah. I love it more than boxing. So that's why I couldn't even ever do like an NBA-esque video. You know what I mean? Like it just my love for it isn't the same like MMA.
Yeah, if boxing was to be more organized like UFC or like MMA is, would you think you would transfer into it?
Yeah, like you know what, man? Like a big part of sports is the culture that they build around it. I feel like organizations fail to realize that they really need to focus on the fans more, and the UFC does that so well. And you know where it starts from? It starts from the top. It starts from Dana White. Like so, when I went to UFC 152, this guy, like it was probably like 12:30, 1 p.m. at night, and this guy goes to like the crowd of fans. I was there too, and he takes a picture with everyone. And he doesn't have to do things like that, but he realizes it brings the culture together. It brings excitement. It's not just a promotion anymore. It's like, yo, we're having a good time here. And UFC does it best. That's why they're the number one promotion in MMA, and like I think the number one league in anywhere, in my opinion. They just really run well.
Yeah, I think Dana White's essentially a fan like us. So he says what we want to hear. Like I remember when he was trash talking Mario Yamasaki. He was saying what the fans wanted to hear at that moment.
Man, you know, I think what I really respect about Dana White is that he's so self-aware, man. I don't know if you checked it out, but he did like a Ask Me Anything on Reddit the other day. I think it was yesterday. So basically, like everyone's asking him these stupid questions, and like he's responding to them like accordingly because he knows about everything. So like when people are like, "Yo, do you know that people call you a tomato?" He's like, "Yeah, of course. My daughter calls me a tomato all the time." Like these are things where it's like he's not out of the loop. He knows what's going on, of what people say about him and what they say about the sport. So I think that's such an important quality to have in a boss, you know?
Yeah. And like the way he has no issue with yelling at the fighters, especially in the early days.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he does. That was crazy. He has some balls on him, man. You have to have some balls to run a promotion filled with fighters. You know what I mean? Like you can't back down in a position as a boss of a promotion like that, right?
Yeah, like, and considering how half of these guys have like brain damage from punches.
Yeah.
And this guy and Dana White just goes in between them during like the face-off and stuff, without like fear for them like punching him in the face.
Yeah, man. Yeah, like that's scary in itself, eh? Like the one of the funniest ones is Anthony Johnson and John Jones. Like he got so scared, he's like, "Oh my god, like it's gonna go down. Like it's done, man." And he can't do anything about it. Like what's he gonna do? You know?
Yeah, John Jones has enough
John
juice in him
Jones
to
has
like
enough
give
juice
Dana
in him
White
to like
juice
give
for
Dana
him
White
a
juice
punch.
for him a punch.
Yeah, man. But yeah, I like Dana White. He's good.
But yeah, man.
Yeah, man.
Do you have any
Do you
videos
have
coming
any
up soon?
videos coming up soon?
Yo, I do have it coming soon. It's a surprise though. It's a big one, so I wanna. It's actually been taking a while to edit it, but with good reason. It's a huge fighter, so I can't wait to release that one. And shit, man, like it's fun. Like I just after that video is another video. Like I try to put out content like a UFC fighter and an MMA fighter when they start the sport. You know, like if you don't notice, these fighters are fighting like 5 to 6 times a year. You know, I want to be that for YouTube. You know, I want to be that guy who's starting off on YouTube and he's just releasing videos left and right all the time. You know what I mean? Like that's how I think everyone should start a career. You know, go as hard as you can. So I think I took a lot of inspiration of that from MMA, from these fighters. You know, like pro up, you fought 8 times in 1 year. What the hell? Like that's a wild. That's
But
crazy.
then, it's like stand-up comedians now and fighters. Like when you first start, you're doing 3 or 4 shows a night.
Yeah,
And then
like,
once
and then
you're
eventually
big, you're
you get
doing like 3 or 4 a year.
Bro, like I see that with myself too, man. Like I one day I'm not gonna be making these videos all the time. You know what I mean? Like that's the reality of it. I wanna like it's fun right now. Like I'm having the time of my life just making videos and like there's a community of people who talk. You know what I mean? Like that's all I've ever wanted. Like I don't care about all the other stuff. I care about having people to talk about MMA about and genuinely have discussion. And to see that on my page is just like it's a dream come true. Like I can't be any more happier. But the reality is that it's not forever. You know what I mean? Like I gotta move on to other things after this eventually. So the 8 fights per year is gonna turn into 1 eventually for me. You know?
Yeah.
So
And
all I say is that all I say right now is that I just enjoy it as much as you can right now because it's not gonna be around forever.
yeah, well, I actually took a survey on my YouTube, on my Instagram page, and I asked how many people want to hear me comment on UFC fights, like the UFC fight show, and I got 100% from almost like 40 people.
Yeah.
And considering I only have 100 followers, or like 200 followers, that's a huge success rate.
Yeah, for sure, of course.
So yeah, if you're ever interested, I know I'm a puny channel compared to you. But if you ever want to come on before fights and we can like discuss the fight cards or like I can even buy the pass and we can do like the in-fight commentary.
Yo, sounds good, man. Well, yo, honestly, we'll keep in touch and then we'll talk more because you know me. I like to talk fights, so we're always good, man.
Yeah. All right, so I'll be pasting Kiiyon's links in my description. Please, like I said, I'm a YouTuber now, so subscribe, comment, do all that stuff. And please follow my friend Kiiyyon.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. I hope to talk to you soon, man.
Yeah.